Welcome everybody. Welcome to the stream. We are live. We are live. So here's the deal. We did not quite have enough attendance for the 8th qualifier event of Kfpl 5 to fire. We didn't have quite enough players playing. It's Jan. Welcome, Jan, to the chat. Good to have you. So yeah, we didn't have quite enough attendance, so we still wanted to play some Keyforge though. So right now we've got 3 players. We got Jupiter, Orion, and Karen, who are gonna play some adaptive best of one round robin. So we got three rounds here. Adaptive best of one is what would have been the format for Kfpl qualifier 8. So that's the format we're doing right now, and we just wanted to play some Keyforge. We didn't want to leave y'all hanging, so we got some games set up and ready to go. So let me refresh here. Looks like round 1 we got Jupiter versus Orion. Let me see if I can find their game and hop in here. So first up, Orion versus Jupiter. An adaptive best of one is pretty cool. Bidden chains and everything to see who gets what deck. Very cool. Best of one. So yeah, but it should be a quick and easy, simple stream. It'll be fun. Got some cool games to spectate, to watch. And then I believe, let me check something real quick here. Yep, and then as thanks for playing this event and producing content for the Kfpl, Jupiter and Orion will be automatically tossed onto the reserve list if we have extra slots for the league. So that's pretty cool. Just waiting on Jupiter to join the match here. And hopefully my microphone sounds a touch better, because I did turn down the gain a little bit, because I feel like last stream my mic was just like super hot and it just did not sound very good. It sounded kind of horrible, but hopefully turning the gain down a little bit will fix that. Also, we got some healthy delay on this stream apparently, which is interesting. I did not intend for there to be a whole bunch of delay, but there is, so we'll work with it. It's aight. Alright, Jupiter, where are you? Mic does still sound poppy and hot? Oh my goodness. I tried fixing that. Man, I'm telling you, man. For some reason, audio is just my weakest point. Ugh. How could I fix that? This, I feel like, is just gonna make it louder if I keep doing that. If that's even doing anything. Well, I turned it down a little bit. Hopefully that changes something. I don't know. Yeah, that's worse. Is it still worse? Sorry, I'm chatting with somebody else. I tried turning it down a little bit here. Alright, well, for some reason, Jupiter's not showing up, so it looks like we're going to be doing Orion versus Karen for now. So it looks like instead of Jupiter versus Orion, we're going to have Karen versus Orion. Hopefully Jupiter shows up soon for some epic Keyforge gameplay. Then Orion has the game made, so we just need Karen to join in, and we'll hop into our first game. And apparently my mic still sounds absolutely terrible, so I guess I'll have to figure that out at some point. The toughest part of, like, videos and streams for me is always the audio for some reason. For some reason, I just cannot get the audio down. It's tough. Audio is difficult. I need Linusu audio. I don't know if you guys have ever checked out Linusu or whatever his name is, but his audio, now that is on point. He's got the mic, he's got the camera, he's got everything. I aspire to have audio like his. My goodness. So yeah, sorry to all my viewers for the quality of the audio. Hopefully you guys will be able to manage. Alrighty, we are into our first game here. Karen with a mass mutation deck. Nasty. We got the double EP for some scaling Ember control, redacted, autoencoder, Zenzik. Mark of this gateway to this combo, Mindfire with a Stirring Grave, double Infernus, which is disgusting, especially with the Stirring Grave. A couple dark minions, and some Sanctum. You don't see Sanctum all too often. The Grey Rider, double Ardent Hero, double Commandeer, Fangs of Gizzleheart, a Smite. That's not bad. And then Orion out here with a Dark Tidings deck. We got Dark Tidings Represent. With a cool Maverick, a Maverick Untamed Bubbles. That's really cool. Double Youngest Bear. Keyfrog with... What can kill the Keyfrog? Infighting can kill Keyfrog. The Star Alliance looks beautiful. Oh my goodness. Double Gak. Selective Preservation. The Hangs and Gross with double Colonist Chapman and a Rocketeer Triska. And a Unity Discord. That's the perfect combo right there. And the logos, we got the Honors Keysys, double Information Exchange, and also a Zenzik, Old Egad, Mind Over Matter. That's some good stuff. That is a really solid Dark Tidings deck. Miles, Cadet of Tramos versus Indigo Mountain Politician. And both players have selected Indigo Mountain Politician. Both players went with Karen's Mass Mutation deck here. And Orion brings it all the way up to 5 chains. Crazy. What a jump from 0 all the way up to 5. Orion really wants that MM deck. Karen is considering. Oh, there we go. Karen passes, so Orion ends up with the Mass Mutation Indigo with only 5 chains. and Karen ends up with the Dark Tidings deck. Dinobot, welcome to the stream. Good to have you. Good morning. Maybe you have some tips on how I can make my audio sound better. Because my audio, the sound and quality of my audio is just absolute garbage. And I don't know how to fix it. At least the audio sounds bad. Like during my live streams. Like during my videos it sounds fine, but for some reason my live streams just kind of suck. And there's so much delay on my stream. What on earth? What is going on? Ryan says that I should be able to see. Oh, that's very cool. We can see the player's hands. We got Ryan's hand here, Karen's hand. Nice. Alright, so things are moving at a lightning fast pace here. Karen did have a Chelonia down at one point, but Ryan standardized testing it. Eclectic Inquiry. Karen goes Logos, throws down the Anomaly Exploiter, Bilge Warden, and Old Egad. Back over to Orion, who throws down Imp Spectre and Dark Minion. Karen plays Armor Drone, honors Keysis for the Ember, Old Egad, and Bilge Warden Reaps a couple times. And then back over to Orion. Let me move this down again. Ryan throws down the Seeker of Truth, Umbranite. Unfortunately, my own audio is bad, so I can't help too much, but I think my recording can sound different depending on which software is recording. So different software for streaming versus recording. For streaming, I just use OBS, and then recording, I record very wonkily. When I like set up to record for a video, I like go into like iMovie and then record using that, and I do it in a very strange way. But I don't think your audio sounds that bad, by the way. Sounds better than mine, at least. I just have so much fan noise. So yeah, I guess it's just something I'll have to look into. Just have to look into it further. Alright, so Orion with the Umbranite and Grey Rider, doing some board control here. Karen lost their Flumph at random, Smite. Karen goes out with the Selective Preservation, which shouldn't do anything. But they have she has a really nice Star Alliance turn set up here. Well, except there's no board. She doesn't have a board to play those Hings and Gross around on each flank of. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Does have the Officer's Blaster. Does not have the Unity or Discord or anything, so I don't know. Oh, Karen misread the card as GAC. Nope, Selective Preservation and GAC are not quite the same. Both are great board control cards, but they are still very different. Orion says, it's so much worse than GAC. So sad. Yeah, GAC is incredible. GAC is incredible. I do like selective preservation, but it is true. There's not quite as much. It's not quite as good, I don't think. Oh yeah, now when tokens take over. Yeah, selective preservation will be amazing against token spam. Choose a creature of each power value, destroy each creature not chosen. Yeah, that'd be powerful against tokens, all of the same power and everything, so. So now Karen has a nice Logos hand there. Can raise the tide with cross purposes and draw with the draw icon. Perhaps Orion will deal with one of those Star Alliance creatures that Karen has out. So then Karen can drop the Zenzi and the Australis Seaboard, putting Zenzi in the center, stealing one with information exchange. And then Karen says if Jupiter doesn't show up, let's do 3 games with different decks. So we have a backup plan. If Jupiter doesn't show up for some reason, then 3 games will still happen, just with different decks. Orion throws down some more Sanctum, establishing quite a nice Sanctum board. And then draws into some really solid discs. Information exchange to steal one. Zenzi and their Australis Seaboard, putting Zenzi in the center. Drawing up to 8. Then it looks like I'll have to scroll down to see extra cards. So Orion does have a nice Sanctum board here that can deal with Karen's board or Reap Out. But dealing with the Zenzi is definitely top priority at the moment, I'd say. There's that Maverick Untamed Bubbles. Nice. So there's some damage out here on the Hings and the Australis Seaborg. Not enough to block a Mark of Dis. Although at this point, I'm not sure how good a Mark of Dis would be, because forcing Karen into Star Alliance, she has plenty of Star Alliance stuff. Forcing into Logos. Actually, if Orion was to Mark of Dis Karen into Logos right now, next turn, then she only has the 1 creature, and then potentially, hopefully, only the information exchange. But we'll have to see what she draws into. Karen throws down the colonist Chapman. Light of the Archons on the Comm Officer Hings. Still looking for that Unity or Discord though. Yeah, which has not been played yet. Zap to hit the Grey Rider. Put some more damage out there. This is a tight game so far. 5 Ember to 5 Ember. How does Orion respond? Has a solid Logos hand, but also a solid Dis hand. 3 Dis, 3 Logos. The chains are finally gone. And right now, a Mark of Dis into Logos would be absolutely crippling for Karen, because she'd only have the Australis Seaborg and the information exchange. Oh, but he Mark of Dist, the colonist Chapman, putting her back into Star Alliance. That is... that's interesting. Karen still only has one card in Star Alliance to play, but it's the Unity or Discord, which is very helpful in this situation. Yep, there's the Unity or Discord. We'll definitely be putting the Hings back into hand, I'd assume. But now, look at this gorgeous Logos hand that Orion has here. Redacted and autoencoder, providing some big value. Umberbot, Professor Torado, and Zenzi, which is 2 mutants to go with that Torado. Crazy. Throws down the Hings and calls it a day. Now Karen has a massive untamed hand. Orion does get to Forge. Karen does have 9 Ember for their first key. Orion throws down the autoencoder, the Redacted. Plays a Fission Bloom. I don't know how I missed the Fission Bloom. Maybe I had 7 cards in hand. Zenzi. Puts a damage on the colonist Chapman. Throws down Torado, Dinobot, and Umberbot. Massive turn right there. At least in terms of establishing a board presence and artifacts and everything. Karen does get to Forge, putting her at 3 Ember for that second key. Goes untamed, naturally, with the Gebuk Bubbles, the Maverick Bubbles, World Tree, Youngest Bear, Cross Porpoises. I wonder who she'll choose to enrage with the Cross Porpoises, which should raise the tide and then let her enrage a couple creatures. Enrages the Dinobot and the Umberbot. Interesting. Preventing those very, very high value reap abilities from going off. Particularly valuable with the autoencoder as well. Throws down the 2 Youngest Bears, the World Tree, and Bubbles. Placing maybe Zenzi back on top of the deck? Or Torado, perhaps? Well, with the Dinobot and the Umberbot enraged, Torado's not doing too much. So, yeah, definitely Zenzi. Goes back to the top of the deck. Throws on the Gebuk, draws into some more Untamed, another information exchange, a GAC, if Orion's board starts getting out of control here. Which, with this hand, it doesn't look like it will be. That's just a whole lot of action cards, and the 1 Infernus. Orion goes Dis, naturally. Reaps with Torado, using Dominator Bobble to draw a card. Draws into the Zenzi, which was just put on back on top of the deck. Pain Reaction hits the Youngest Bear, and also the Australis Seaborg, who's at a whopping 11 power at the moment. It looks like, or 8 power it should be. Yeah, 8 power. Infernus fights the Youngest Bear. We got the next Infernus coming down. So now this is where Karen is really starting to fall behind on board here, and the GAC might come in handy. This is a very close game so far. And obviously the Redacted is quite the threat. What sort of artifact control does Karen have in this deck? None that I see, really. There's no Mollymock or anything, so I think that Redacted is safe. Karen reaps with the Hings, and sure enough, down comes the GAC. So it looks like an yep. Infernus and Salvador are left alive on Orion's side. Bubbles, Hangs, and Australis Seaborg are left alive on Karen's side. It wasn't a turn that played very many cards, but it was still very effective. Killed that Squire Alice to get that Ember back, putting herself at check at 7 for their second key. Orion goes Logos, puts 1 Ember on the Redacted, and hits the first EP, putting Karen back down to 4. What a hit. Plays BDQ to hit the Bubbles and the Seaborg. Down comes the Zenzi in the center of the battle line. Bang. And now Orion's second EP is in hand, with a really nice Sanctum hand though as well. Fangs, Gizzleheart's Wrath to destroy each mutant creature, which isn't really doing a whole lot right now, which is fine. Makes it a safe play, especially to get those bonus icons. Ardent Hero to protect that Zenzi. However, Karen is responding with a great big Untamed board here. Myliobe, Mukling, Keyfrog. Orion goes Sanctum, picks up the Archives, which looks like the Grey Rider is in the Archives. Plays Commandeer, so we're gonna see some mass capture here. Oh man, double Commandeer. Ardent Hero to protect the Zenzi. Excuse me. Grey Rider might go on Zenzi's right, and then Zenzi could safely fight into the Keyfrog. Won't take any damage, and Karen will not be forging a key off of that. Oh, fought the Mukling instead. Oh, that makes sense. To take his key cost back down to 6. And it doesn't look like Logos in Karen's hand currently has a way to get rid of the Keyfrog. However, the Mind Over Matter does put it in the archive, so maybe there's some potential for that later with the infighting and everything. Karen finishes their turn with a couple creatures on the board. A nice Star Alliance hand. However, Orion drew into some really solid dis here. Gateway, which may not be worth playing with only 2 Logos creatures out there. But we do got the Mind Fire. But Orion goes Logos. Picks up the Archives to get Zenzi back in hand. Fission Blooms the Eclectic Inquiry to get 2 Ember off of the play. Throws on the Zenzi. Probably will not be playing the EP. But now, Redacted has 2 Ember on it. Karen goes Starlines to respond, picks up the Archives. Yep. Has both the Hangs and the Gross, and the Rocketeer Triska. So there will definitely be some value gained from the Hangs and Gross this turn, it looks like. Plays the Grand Alliance Council to get rid of the Zenzi. Keeps the Talmadge Steelheart alive. Does Karen have a way to stop Orion's second key in Star Alliance, though? From what it looks like, the answer would be no. I don't think she does. In which case, Orion would get this second key, and then would only have to call Logos 2 more times to win. Get that free 3rd key off of Redacted. And I don't know if Karen can move fast enough to hit their 3rd key before Orion hits their 3rd key from calling Logos twice. Especially since in Logos, Orion has the Effervescent Principle, because Orion doesn't need any Ember to hit this 3rd key. So I mean, if they EP themselves, that doesn't hurt them. So the play I see right now is call Logos, EP. Yeah, there you go. Logos, EP, another Ember on Redacted, and then literally just pass turn. And I think that's the game. I think that's it. Looks like Orion wins this. Orion just has to call Logos on their next turn, and victory is theirs. At least in the meantime, Karen can have fun with their Star Alliance turn here. Just reap out and draw some cards and put some power counters out there. So there's some burst there for real, but it doesn't matter. And yeah, there's no artifact control here. Kieran says, I needed this earlier. Yeah, this board here is scary. I think it doesn't have a good answer to this, except Orion does have the gateway to this, so in case they were in a different situation and this board was present, Orion would still have that gateway to deal with it, but even still, the fact that it was left undealt with for one turn already burst Karen up to 10 embers, so I mean, it's pretty crazy. Especially with the viable Frog, Kichi, and the Good Sea, yeah. And there it is, the Redacted win. Yeah, you gotta love Redacted, man, I'm telling you. You gotta love Redacted. Congrats to Orion for taking the W with the Mass Mutation deck. The Dark Tidings deck, its engine was starting to come together here, but it was too late. So, it looks like Jupiter's still not here, so it's looking like Karen and Orion are just going to play 3 games themselves. Alright, so we just gotta wait on Orion to show up here, and then we will be in for game 2. I don't know where Jupiter went off to, but alrighty then. So last weekend, I got to go and compete in a Keyforge tournament. It was a lot of fun. I actually took second place. It was Sealed Alliance with Age of Ascension decks. So you got 2 sealed AOA decks, and then from those 6 pods, you would combine 3 of them to create a deck. And it was really cool. So actually, of the 2 decks I went with, or the 2 decks I got, I didn't actually combine anything. I just ended up going with one of the decks that I got because the other 3 pods and the second deck were just kind of trash. So I just ended up going with one deck, and it took me all the way to second place. It was really cool. Karen says he's letting his dog Orion out for a second. Make the most of it. Adaptive is still super fun. Yes, adaptive is great. You gotta love some good old adaptive. But so I got to play in that tournament, and I really enjoyed it. One of the problems was, though, is that even like I got both the decks and there was no Ember control like whatsoever in those decks. I had to take that Smarty Pants in one deck, and then I had a Mars Needs Ember in the other deck. So then I had a Brodnar pod. So I went with a Brodnar pod that had double Cowards and double Drummerknot, double Bramo. So I had some really nice board control in there. I went with a Logos pod that had triple ZYX Researcher, a Lab Work, Hexbion, Research Smoko, some other really solid stuff just for archiving. And then the other Mars pod I went with had a Key Abduction in it, and then a few other things in the Mars that could also archive. So I was like, if I can't stop Ember, then I'm just gonna focus on racing. So what I did was I just generated as much Ember as possible through like reaping and everything, and then 4 out of my 5 games I went 4-1, and all 4 of my victories I pulled off a Key Abduction for my 3rd key, just off of archiving with the ZYX researchers and everything. I know Mars Needs Ember is so good. The thing is that with the pods that I had, it wasn't very consistent. So I was like, would I rather just try and set up for a really consistent Key Abduction, or try and set up for a relatively more inconsistent Mars Needs Ember? So I ended up going the Key Abduction route. It was a tough choice though. Thanks for attending last weekend. Great to meet you this one day. Yeah, man. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. It was amazing. It was great meeting everybody and you as well. It was awesome. Thanks to everyone who helped organize the event. Thanks to the people who had the space for us to play in. It was a lot of fun. All right, so Orion has arrived for game 2. But yeah, I must say, it felt great to pull off 4 Key Abductions in a single day. No Martian generosity or anything, just straight archiving with the Logos. And of course, with everybody else at the tournament in a similar situation, also a lot of them not having that much Ember control. Most of my keys, most of my like 1st and 2nd keys, I would just check out like 6 or 7 Ember and I was able to forge most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. The scariest stuff was Shadow's pods, because not only are they generating Ember, they're also taking it from me. Hoping to do it again April 15th. Heck yeah. Absolutely. I really hope to be there on April 15th. Wish I could have seen some of your games. Yeah, one of these days I should really try and like record some games, you know? I should really try to record some games at some point and like make a video off of one of these tournaments. That'd be really neat. Alright, so Karen with a Coda deck. She's telling me a bit of history. The deck I'm playing was top 16 in the first Vault Tour. That's insane. Wow. So this deck right here that Karen is playing, or that Karen is bringing here, this Coda deck, Capitanin Bestie Yarborough, top 16 at the first Vault Tour. Truly insane. Double Ghostly Hand, Bait and Switch, Relentless Whispers, double Naughty, Carlo Phantom, Mac the Knife. Logos has the IG Library Access Lab Work, double Library Battle Movia Scroll, and a Quicksilver the Adventure Titan mechanic to make keys cost less. The disc has a Collar of Subordination, an Arise, and a Gateway. Perfect. What a great combo right there. Charette, Dust Imp, Snudge, the Terror, and a Lash. That's just a classic Coda deck, man. That's crazy. So both players naturally have selected Capitaine. Orion bids 3, Karen bids 4, Orion bids 5, Karen bids 6. Orion passes at 6, so Karen ends up with Captain, I'm just going to call it Captain, at 6 chains. Wow. That seems relatively cheap for a deck that got top 16 at a Vault Tour. Orion is piloting Xiang Rapid Castle Stage. A really solid looking AOA deck. Holy crap. Triple Igor, Professor Cedric, Director of ZYX with a Eureka for some burst, triple regrowth, and a Nature's Call. Persistence Hunting, Glimmer. So there's some cool stuff in there. Double Hysteria, double Exhume. Huh. That's pretty neat looking, actually. Oh my goodness. Orion with the fiery start. Karen gets that lash out quickly, but Orion with the massive Logos turn, double Igor, Sutterkin, and a sizable Entangler. Does Karen have anything to stop that? No, she does not. That is very scary. That is very scary. And then even if Karen did have a way to deal with that Sutterkin, oh, the Collar of Subordination will do it. I was just looking at ways to destroy it, but wow, that's also a good way to do it. The Collar of Subordination. Crazy. I was gonna say that even if the Sutterkin did get destroyed, Orion has so much recursion in his deck, like even right in his hand, an Exhume and a Glimmer to get it back. And that's not counting the 3 regrowths over there in the Untamed and the other Exhume. The Collar of Subordination bypasses all that recursion, just straight up steals the Sutterkin. Crazy. Orion with the Glimmer to put Hysteria back into hand. There you go. That's a good way to do it. However, the Sutterkin may get used right now. Yeah, there it is. That's so cool. Oh man, drew into the library access though. Unfortunate. It's not very often you get to see Professor Sutterkin reap in a Coda deck. Collar of Subordination did it. But this Hysteria that Orion has can put the Sutterkin back into his hand. Wow, Rocket Boots on the Igor. Oh, interesting. Fought the Sutterkin off the board. Had to happen, obviously. Couldn't leave that thing alive for another turn. Karen with the Bait and Switch, the Naughty, and the Massive Asp. Discards a Bad Penny. Oh, excuse me. And keys cost 5. So now Orion should be able to exhume that Professor Sutterkin if they want. Binding Irons to give Karen 3 more chains. Ouch. Again, sorry to all my listeners for the poor audio quality. I really hope to look into it closer at some point and get that fixed. Throws on the Onyx Knight to destroy everybody. Hysteria. Onyx Knight Yurk to discard Darna. Plays Exhume. Sure enough, for the Sutterkin. And behold, look at that Logos hand. Wow. That Logos hand is perfect for the Sutterkin. Double Igor. Unfortunately, Karen has not drawn into anything to deal with the Sutterkin. So this is an easy Logos call for Orion. Throws down the Igor. Picks up the Hysteria, it looks like. Throws down the Igor. Picks up a Mimicry. Throws down Director of ZYX. And the Titan Mechanic. And then reaps to draw for 5. That's crazy. Drew into a Wild Wormhole and a Poke. Pokes the Titan Mechanic. Does he dare play the Wild Wormhole? Oh, nice! Wild Wormhole into Cutthroat Research. And keys cost 4 right now because of the 2 Titan Mechanics on the flanks. Dang. That was a beautiful, beautiful turn. Sutterkin is such a threat, man. Karen calls this naturally to stop the key with Lash. Hits the Terror and Snudge. Now is set up with a beautiful Shadows hand. Double Naughty, Ghostly Hand, Mackley Knife, Subtle Maul. But left the Sutterkin alive again. Titan Mechanic fights the Snudge. Persistence Hunting in the Archives from Director of ZYX. This is absolute insanity. Orion hits House Dis with the Seismo Entangler, so the Terror cannot reap. Both Titan Mechanics are still on a flank. Reaped with the Sutterkin, but is playing around the interdimensional graft. Chose not to reap with the rest of his creatures because of the IG threat. However, Karen did not have IG in their hand at the time. So it would have been safe to burst that much, but obviously Orion couldn't have known that. They still get the key through anyway. 1 key, 2 Ember. Karen is at check at 5 Ember. Keys cost 5. Put the Mac the Knife by the other type mechanic, so now keys are only 5 instead of 4. Orion with, oh man, even more burst, the Eureka to gain 2, putting himself at check just like that with the play of a single card. Cutthroat Research is still online in hand. Professor Stuttercan is still online in board, which is just crazy. Karen still has not drawn into the IG. Fights the Natties off the board. Stuttercan draws 3 cards. Did not draw into any Logos, but that makes sense. A lot of his Logos has been played already. So now he's just setting up for a massive Untamed turn or Dis turn here. Has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Untamed cards in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 discards in hand, it looks like. And Orion has been doing a good job of playing around the IG. Even though Karen doesn't have it in hand, he's still playing around that threat very well. The Lash stops the key. The Lash makes that difficult though, you know, because you have to get out of Lash range, but then that puts you in to into IG range. So that's tough. Karen, hand of this is the Yerk. Terror fights the Stuttercan. Stuttercan is finally off the board, throws on the Dust Imp, and discards the Arise. Oh my goodness. Look at Orion's Archives too. Holy crap. He has like so much of each pot in his like access right now. Orion calls Dis, so now that the Stuttercan is dead, doesn't really matter because Orion has a massive hand. Throws on the Eater of the Dead, the Onyx Knight, discards the Misery Exploit, the Ember Imp. Wow. Karen goes Logos. Yep, Karen goes Logos. Oh, nice! The Wild Wormhole into the Carlo Phantom, and then into the Mobius Scroll to steal one. That was the perfect Wild Wormhole to take Orion off of check. The Anomaly Exploiter was also in hand, so there's a steal that way as well, but only if the Wild Wormhole hit that Carlo Phantom. So yeah, that Carlo is insane. What a perfect Wild Wormhole to stop the key. Karen is still not out of this, I don't think. Orion does still have, access to 14 cards. The majority of them of either Untamed or Dis. So Orion still has a lot of momentum, I'd say, but with a deck like this, I think Karen still has a chance. Can safely play the Titan Mechanic, put themselves at even more check than they were before. Phase Shift into Ghostly Hand, some major burst, and mind you, all of this has been done with a ton of chains as well. I can definitely see why this deck is top 16 for first Vault Tour. And now the IG is finally in hand. Karen finally has the Interdimensional Graft. But this is the last key in which it'll actually be useful, since Orion's about to forge for their second. This is tricky. This is a tricky scenario right now. Because Orion could burst like crazy with the Untamed. I wonder what sort of mimicry targets he has. Mimicry the bait and switch. Mimicry phase shift. There's some good options. Mimicry Neurosiphon. But that IG is just too threatening. This game is very interesting so far. Real brain buster. It's just Coda versus AOA, but it's still a brain buster. And that check at 10 is even more brutal with keys costing 5. And Orion confirms, indeed, the wild wormhole into Carlo was brutal, with 2 artifacts to play off of it. The Exploiter and the Mobius Scroll. That's crazy. Carlo in a deck with 7 artifacts is why I bought it. Ha! Chump change. Carlo in a deck with 7 artifacts? I have a deck with Carlo and like 9 artifacts. Get wrecked. No, I'm just kidding. No, 7 artifacts with Carlo is pretty insane. That's some real danger right there for the opponent. Especially if you can wild wormhole into it with 2 Lolo's artifacts in hand, and then stop their key off of it. So Orion also has this cutthroat research, which would take Karen down to 8. But then it would also take him all the way up to 7 and into a very dangerous IG range. Then he would also have the Igor and the Director of ZYX. No, they go Dis and pick up the archives. So now he has Hysteria, Spider, Exhume, and a couple creatures on board. Onyx Knight Reaps. Eater of the Dead Reaps. You get to purge a creature from a discard pile and increase Eater of the Dead's power. Very strange card. Kind of reminds me of Yanthi Ghostfin from Winds of Exchange Unfathomable. Purge a creature from a discard pile. If you do, make a token creature rather than put a +1 power counter on there. Spoilers, by the way. Eater of the Dead, Onyx Knight comes back down off the Hysteria and a Spider. Plays an Exhume. What does he exhume? An Igor. Fascinating. Exhumes and Igors go so well together. So do Helperbots. Helperbots, Igors, Exhumes, Hysterias. The works right there. Ends the turn right there. So now keys are back up to 6, thankfully. With the Titan Mechanic gone. So Karen will get to Forge 4/6. And Orion, still being very smart playing around that IG, checking at 7. So the IG could still happen, but it's not going to be nearly as effective. And in terms of Ember control, there's the Carlo Phantom, but no artifacts in hand. The Lash of Broken Dreams increases key cost to 3, or to +3, I mean. So now that would be interesting. So if Karen was to take a Dis turn, perhaps, throw down the Dust Imp and then the Gateway, Lash to stop Orion's key, and then throw down a Terror to set up for that IG even more, that could be interesting. That would put Orion in a very sticky situation. Dust Imp, Gateway, Lash, the Terror. There we go. I called it play for play. That's exactly what I would have done. Oh man, but that Gateway increased the chains even more. Karen only has 4 cards in hand after that. 6 chains. Crazy. So now what does Orion do? Karen still has the IG in that hand. And Orion, what are they going to do? Are they going to get out of Lash range but into a really painful IG range? Or do they stay in this area to play around the IG but risk getting lashed even more and having those keys stopped even more? Very tricky. Lash and IG are scary together. They really are. Ryan's really thinking about it. This is tough. I know this game is very interesting. This game is very interesting so far. I agree. And again, all of this was done with, like, I mean, Karen has had changed this whole entire game. And it's still this close. It's not like the most, like, insane looking deck when you first look at it. Like, you look at this, you're not like, wow, this deck is absolutely insane. Like, usually you expect to see maybe a few, like, control the weaks in there or something. Or maybe too much to protect. But no. This deck just has really good tools that synergize well. Ryan goes Igor. Plays the Cutthroat Research. This cannot reap from Seismo Entangler. Wild Wormholes into the Igor. Very nice play. So now Orion is just out of Lash range, but Karen hits the IG. Very nice. That's scary. Why tax the key when you can just take it? Oh man, and then the Titan mechanic to make keys cost less so the IG is more effective? That's insane. So Karen is going to be getting 4 whole Ember off of this interaction, putting them at check for their 3rd key. In terms of Ember control, doesn't look like Orion has any in hand. Mimicry, however. Mimicry could mimic the bait and switch. Yeah, so they go untamed. Mimicry to hit the bait and switch to take Karen off a check. That IG was painful, but I think it was kind of inevitable. I think Orion did a phenomenal job of playing around the IG for as long as possible. Plays the Glimmer to return Curiosity to hand. Interesting. Of all of the cards to return to hand, Curiosity is the one. Mimicry, the bait and switch. Perfect. Perfect play. He's still in it. He's still in the game off of that Mimicry. Curiosity for the Ember. And now with that IG gone, Orion can just burst like crazy. And he has the untamed hand to do it. With 3 regrowths. Darna, Glimmer, Marmosworm. Persistence hunting for House Saurian. Marmosworm, Darna. Now just play out some Ember Pips. With those regrowths. Set up for another turn. Down the road. Put the Jaga back in hand. Put the Darna back in hand. I don't know. There's options. Free goes to Igor. Smart. Karen does not have any Ember control in hand except for the Relentless Whispers and then Lash of Broken Dreams outside of hand. So, however, at 8 Ember, Orion's at 8 Ember right now, the Relentless Whispers is not enough. The only way for Karen to stop this key is with the Lash. And in that case, she's just hanging on by a thread. Really just stopping the key for the sake of stopping it. That Mimicry bait and switch was so clutch. Yep, Karen goes this, has to Lash, and then hopefully draw into something else that can steal in shadows. But I don't know if that would be enough. However, the Poltergeist can stop something from reaping with the Seismo Entangler. Probably could stop Untamed from reaping? Maybe? No! Poltergeist did their own Library of Babel to draw a card. Huh. the terror, hysteria, the terror. So the key is stopped, but Karen did not hit check themselves, which is the unfortunate part. Karen did not recycle through the discard, so IG is still out of the question. Orion goes untamed. We got the Glim Call, or the Glimlock combo happening right now, with Glimmer and Nature's Call. Pass his turn right there. So that looks like it might be the end of the game. Because now not even Lash is enough. The Terror and Red Hot Armor don't stop any Ember. It is too late for a Graft, yep. The Graft already happened on Key 2. But yeah, Grafts can't really do much on Key 3. Absolutely. Ah, Charette was bottom card. That is what Karen was digging for by poltergeisting her own Library of Babel, I would assume. And in the end, all those chains stopped the drawn to Charette because it was bottom card. That's crazy. I needed to hit Red Hot Armor on that play where I destroyed my library. Oh, yep. That makes sense. For the one more pip, yeah. That too, actually. Get that one more pip off of the Red Hot Armor to hit check. And I don't know that Orion would have had a way to stop that. There was the Exhume, but I don't think he could have exhumed anything useful. So that was insane. What a crazy game. Just some bad luck on Karen's end. Not drawing into the Charette because it's bottom card, and then also not hitting the Red Hot Armor off of poltergeisting the Library of Babel for that extra pip to hit check on the same turn that she lashed Orion's third key. Wow. Yeah, not having one more Ember that last turn was huge. I had no way to stop you because all your control I can mimic requires you to have more than one. Have more Ember than me. Right. Because like Neurosiphon and stuff. Wow, what an insane game. What an insane game too. Congrats to Orion for, again, taking the W and beating a top 16 Vault Tour deck. That's wild. So we just got one more game. Again between Karen and Orion. And that'll be it. Both of these games have been insane so far. The first one in particular, or the second one, sorry. This game that just finished, top tier. That was some Keyforge right there. That was some Keyforge. Yeah, GG's all around. So now we just got one final game to watch. Orion has gone 2-0 so far. Can he make a clean sweep? Can he go 3-0 for the event? That's the question. Karen has her deck selected. I'm very curious to see what their decks are. What their decks are that they choose to go with. Ryan says that they're still deciding on their deck. This is making me want to play some Keyforge. Oh, I want to play some Keyforge. Yeah, adaptive is great. That game was still so close, even with all the chains that Karen had. I think in the end, the chains kind of did come back to bite her, because Charlotte was bottom card and she couldn't reach it. But I mean, at the same time, that's also just the bad luck of your card that you need being on the bottom. So Orion is in. He's joined for the final battle. Deck selected. And so it begins. Karen versus Orion for the final game. Alright, Orion brings a mass mutation deck with quadruple Theros Centurion and a Ludo and double Citizen Tricks. That's pretty special right there. Corns and Octavia with a Monument to Octavia and an Axiom. That's disgusting. Double EP again. Cronus. Double Daughter and a Torado. Karen says her hand is insane. Whoa. She is not lying. What just happened? Oh. It looks like the adaptive setting forgot to get turned on. Whoops. That's unfortunate. Karen ends up with that amazing hand, but it turns out it's not adaptive. They forgot to turn on the adaptive part of it. Whoops. Alright, now we've got the adaptive. Alright, so Orion has this crazy mass mutation deck. We got a Harvest Time in there as well, double Anguish with double Dominator Bobble, Gateway to Disimplosion, Standardized Testing, double Ethologica, some mad efficiency in that Logos house, some good capture and board control in the Saurian house, and then some good stuff in the Dis house as well. Karen brings Warrior Punch. That's amazing. What a great name. We get to see another cool Maverick, the Mars Cleansing Wave with a Battlefleet Key Abduction, the precursor to Martian Generosity Key Abduction, triple Tunk and a Yaxili Dominator. There's some big creatures, a Crystal Hive, that's insane. Crystal Hive with Battlefleet and a Key Abduction, that's a really good combo to have, especially when you have such giant Mars creatures that are difficult to remove from the board that you can just reap with. Ammonia Clouds. Triple Lab Work and a Library Access in the Logos with a Fogify, Scrambler Storm, Howling Pit, Mother, that's a great Logos pod right there. And then in the Brobnar, the double Loot the Bodies with the Earthshaker, Ganger Chieftain, Heed the Huge, Mighty Javelin, Brothers in Battle, Blood Money. So there's some real burst in the Brobnar. That's proper Brobnar. That's what you like to see in a Brobnar pod right there. That's what Brobnar should look like. And then the double Bilgum Avalanche, which is just very fascinating. So in terms of chains, what are we looking at? Oh gosh. Karen selected Warrior Punch, and Orion selected his own deck, so there's no chains. No chain baiting. Orion wanted his deck, Karen wanted hers. But Orion says, Woof, it scares me that you picked yours. Yeah, this looks pretty cool. Let's open up their hands here. Oh. Both starting out with some nice hands. That Cleansing Wave value could get insane this matchup. That's for darn sure. Especially with cards like Heed the Huge. Dang. Karen with the Fogify and the Lab Work and the Bat Drone to archive the Mother Gun. Orion goes Saurian. Monument to Octavia. Strix, Centurion. Big ol' Saurian board right off the bat. Daughter for some efficiency. Wait, this is a double Torado deck? How did I miss that? Oh my gosh, this is a double Professor Toronto deck. That's crazy. And Orion's up against a non-mass mutation deck, meaning all that Toronto value just applies to him, essentially. Karen with some Brobnar Burst with a Loot the Bodies and an Earthshaker, and the Bulgum Avalanche. Orion with a small turn, Inspector and Snudge. Back over to Karen, who chooses Brobnar. Throws down the second Loot the Bodies. Plays Headhunter. And now to wreak havoc with the Earthshaker and Bulgum Avalanche. Earthshaker hits the Thero Centurion, gains an Ember. Avalanche fights the Snudge, gains an Ember. And just like that, Karen is already at check for their first key. Insane. However, Orion has an answer with the EP. Both EPs were in hand, actually. EP, Cronus, double Toronto. Now I feel like Karen really has to go Brobnar again. Oh, wow! What a hit, though. The BDQ to hit the Inspector and purges the Gengar Chieftain from hand. That's crippling. That hurts. And then BDQs again for the Avalanche and the Thero Centurion, leaving Karen with very little board control to deal with the double Toronto. Goes Logos, plays the Labyrinth to archive a card, throws on the Phase Shift, and plays Squawker. Very smart to stun a Professor Toronto. That's about all she could have done right there, honestly. Orion goes Logos naturally, unstuns Toronto, draws 2 off of the first Toronto, reaps again to draw 2 more, draws into the EP and the standardized testing, neither of which are very helpful in this moment. Karen goes Logos, throws on the Mother and the Brain Eater, and passes turn, leaving the Torontos alive again. This is just like Game 2 all over again, where Orion's Professor Sutterkin was left out for a super long time, and now Orion's double Professor Torontos are being left out for way too long. Brothers in battle. Choose a house. For the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature of that house may fight. Interesting. So now what does Orion do? Goes Logos. That's what I would do. Draws 2 off the Toronto, 2 more off the Toronto, and then 2 more off the Cronus. For a massive 15 card hand. Oh my gosh. Now we got the double Lethalogica and the Daughter in hand as well. This is crazy. This lack of board control is really coming back to haunt Karen, as it has game after game now. This Logos pod is beautiful, I must say. That's an alliance-worthy Logos pod, in my opinion. Lethalogica to get a Mobius Scroll. Lethalogica to hit draw 0. And now what? Now what happens? Karen could go... Karen is saving up very nicely, storing up for the Key Abduction. So it seems like maybe they would want to go Logos to lab work, archive a Mars card, Brain Eater one of the Torontos off the board, and maybe Mother one of the Torontos off the board. Yep, lab works to archive the Cleansing Wave, it looks like. Brain Eater hits the Cronus. Interesting. Draws into the Scrambler Storm off that. That's good. That's nice. That's amazing. That Scrambler Storm will stop Orion's EP. Will also stop the Gateway and the standardized testing. Wow, Orion has so much board control in hand right now. Harvest Time, Gateway, Axiom, and standardized testing. Orion goes Saurian. It's going to throw down some creatures. Very smart. And we'll stop the key off of that. He's like, I can't play EP? That's fine, I got mad Saurian control. Theracenurion, Cornison Octavia, Curiosaurus, Theracenurion again, Nerotaurus. You don't see Nerotaurus very often. He's really cool. The inspiration for Edict of Nerotaurus from Winds of Exchange. Discards the Axiom. He couldn't even play it anyway if he wanted to. And then the Ludo. Don't forget about the Ludo. Discards Trifectus Ludo. What? Why? Why would you discard the Perfectus Ludo? That's interesting. Why would you discard the Perfectus Ludo? What am I missing? Karen with the Battle Fleet. Oh, here it is, man. Did she end up getting the key abduction, though? Oh, no. Yes, she did. Okay, key abduction is in hand. There it is. Wow. This feels like a mass mutation game. Or an Age of Ascension game. Wow, what am I saying? This feels like an AOA match or play right now. Just gets a key abduction for nothing. Ah, I see. So the Curiosaurus, he wants the Ember to go into Kieran's creatures rather than to the common supply. That makes sense. That's smart. Wow. So key abductions for free, and then drops 1,000,000 Mars cards. Just like that. Oh no, ammonia clouds into the cleansing wave? Oh, dude, that's insane. Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. I want this deck. I wish I had this deck. Holy crap. Dude, that cleansing wave with the ammonia clouds? What? What a perfect spot for that cleansing wave to end up. Oh my goodness. So yeah, the EP will hit here, but I mean, Karen will still be at check afterwards. Oh man. Dude, these games have been insane so far. These games have been insane. Those Torados drew a whole bunch. And then there's the EP to take Karen down to 9, but Orion didn't really draw into anything else. Drew into a whole bunch of discs, but not any more logos. So there's a big disc turn coming up, it looks like. Oh my gosh. I still cannot get over how insane that play was. A key abduction for 0, and then into a cleansing wave to heal like 15 creatures. Standardized testing hits the Dominator and something else. The Think Drone, it looks like. Surely this is the game that Karen wins. Especially with this Crystal Hive out now. Crystal Hive and then Reaper 6 off of those Tunks. Yeah, I know. Clip that. Clip that, Cloud, man. Clip it. Somebody clip that. Karen, sure enough, goes Mars and then Crystal Hives. Then can just reap out for that final key. Is there anything that Orion could possibly do about that key? Does he have any way to get damage onto Anguish? Pandemonium, unfortunately, is each undamaged creature captures 1 from its opponent. So, but actually, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 disc creatures in hand, all undamaged when he plays them down, he can stop this key with a Pandemonium. And then Curiosaurus obviously just makes it really difficult for Karen to get that Ember back. Orion with the Gateway. Nice. Curiosaurus coming in clutch with this deck, man. I'm telling you. Curiosaurus is such an interesting card. It's confusing, but it's interesting. And then drops 1,000,000 disc creatures to hit the Pandemonium and stop the key. And put himself at check. That's insane. Karen does not have any board control in hand, it looks like. That Bilgrim Avalanche is coming out too late. Mighty Javelin is an artifact. And then in the Logos, there's not really any board control in the Logos that Library Access could draw into. Karen can still at least hit this Blood Money. Brothers in Battle is allowing unfathomable creatures to fight. And then the Mighty Javelin and the Bilgrim Avalanche. Oh wow, Orion drew into some more beautiful disc stuff here. But Karen did hit check. Drekker can stop the key. So Orion will get to Forge. And now it all comes down to this Reap with the Drekker to steal one, take Karen off the key, and then Reap out with the rest of it. That will put him at 6, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, except the Cinder will Reap to destroy a friendly creature, so I don't know if he can Reap with a Cinder. Because then he'll hit one of his own dudes. And Karen doesn't have any creatures on the board for the Curiosaurus to work with. So it looks like the best he can do is hit 5, which really sucks. If only he could hit 6 and hit check. Karen has the Bumpsy in hand, so it doesn't really matter, but just for the sake of it. Karen goes Logos. Sure enough, Mighty Javelins the heck out of that loaded Drekker. Howling Pit. Key Abduction is back in hand. What the heck? Karen redrew into her Key Abduction. Smart to discard the Bat Drone and Nova Archaeologist so that Curiosaurus doesn't do anything. Does Orion have an out? Monument to Octavia and Thera Centurion can take Karen down to 6, but not 5. I don't see anything in the Logos. I don't see any way to get damage onto the Anguishes. So it looks like his best bet might be the Thera Centurion and the Monument to Octavia, but I don't think even that will be enough. And then even if it was, I think Karen could still just pull off this Key Abduction. Oh, Orion had Archives. That's perfect. I didn't even notice that. So that puts a Citizen Tricks in the hand. So yeah, Orion can stop the key. That's huge. However, I think Karen might just be able to pull off a Key Abduction right now. So Karen has a couple options. If she can't pull off the Key Abduction, at least she can still stop the key in Brobnar with the Bumpsy. However, so let's see, Key Abduction is Forge a Key at, yeah, 15. Crystal Hive, oh yeah, definitely a Key Abduction happening right now. Squawker goes up to 8. Does she actually have enough though? Oh man, was it not enough? Yeah, because 9 plus 5. 9 plus 5 is 14. She's 1 short. Karen is literally 1 short. Oh man. Risked it all. Huh. Yeah, because maybe if Karen had mother gunned the Inspector or the Citizen Shreks. Oh, what a sad end. Risked it all for the key abduction, but turned out to be one short. So Orion ended up taking the victory, but I think Karen could have pulled off that key abduction, maybe. Wow. Yeah, Karen definitely should have won that off the key abduction, but just missed the mother gun play. Either way, still an insane game. Still an insane game, insanely close. Yeah, it was definitely a misplay. Very close though. Yeah, because Karen could have stopped the key with the Brobnar and then absolutely been insured for that key abduction win at the end. Even would have drawn into that battle fleet by the end of it. Well, hey, that's alright. Orion ended up getting the clean sweep, the 3-0 victory. Should have been 2-1, but what can you do? It happens. It happens. Misplays happen. Happen all the time. GG's all around. At least you did get to pull off a key abduction for 0 at one point. I mean, it felt like I was watching an AOA deck play. Just a key abduction for free. That's where I usually see those happen. Yeah, it was great. No, that was still some clean play. I mean, that second game you had changed the entire game, but then still made it this close. It was insane. That was really good. All around, those games were absolutely fire. All 3 of those games were awesome. All 3 of those games are so cool. That was some top-level Keyforge gameplay. Those coded decks were terrifying. The MM decks were terrifying. The Age of Ascension decks. That was some good stuff. The format was adaptive best of 1. That was the format. Adaptive best of 1. So they'd bring their deck. If they ended up choosing the same one, they would bid on it. Yeah, there were also some very lucky draws all around. If only Karen had the same hand when y'all forgot to make it adaptive, and Karen had that insane logos turn all set up, but then it turned out you had to restart. Yeah, very true. Very quick start. What nail biter, excellent commentary. Those were some nail biters for sure. I could not agree more. Thank you. I do enjoy getting to commentate such insane games. I get very hyped up when things are this intense. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, so there we have it. Even though the main event didn't go through, we still got to have some fun Keyforge gameplay take place. 3 insane adaptive games with Karen and Orion. Flocks them all. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, and then thanks obviously to you guys for being up and available to play, even though the event wasn't happening. So yeah. That was super cool. Alright, so yeah, that's probably where we will end it for today. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. Thanks for watching. It was great having you all in the chat, watching along with me. I will make sure to get my audio, better, because for some reason, this darn stream audio is the bane of my existence and is my kryptonite, is my weakness. I will get it figured out. I will have crisp audio someday. Someday it'll happen. Hopefully sometime soon. But yeah, thanks to everybody who stopped in to watch. Thanks for everybody who played. And yeah, I think we'll end it right there. Thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you all again in the next one. See you later.